Welcome to the S.E.O.co Search Engine Optimization Podcast. Digital marketing essentials and next-level tactics. From off-site and on-site optimization to persuasive selling and everything in between. You'll learn actionable tips on what it takes to outright and outrank your competition.
Should you be using a private blog network for link building in 2022? Private blog networks have been used for years as an S.E.O. strategy. Perhaps you have dabbled in creating one yourself or collaborated with others who own them. Here we'll discover more about PBNs, including definition of a private blog network, how PBNs are created, pros and cons of a private blog network, history and risks of PBNs. Let's get at it. What is a private blog network? Let's start with a description of PBNs, including how they work, or at least how they're supposed to work. A private blog network is a collection of individual, distinct websites owned by a single person or organization, typically for the purpose of generating links for a primary domain. To understand why this could be valuable, you have to understand the basics of link building. When conducting a Google search, Google's algorithm considers both the relevance of potential websites and their authority. Their authority is a measure of their trustworthiness, which is calculated based on a number of factors. Most prominently, this is determined by the number and quality of links pointing to the domain. If you earn enough high-quality links, your domain authority will grow, and it will be easier for you to rank in the future. So let's say you have a primary website and you're looking to do S.E.O. for your personal injury law firm. If you wanted to build a PBN, you could purchase domains relevant to the law, develop content for those sites, and use them to build links back to your main site. This allows you to forego conventional link building strategies, which require patience, attention to quality, relationship building, and did I mention patience? Hypothetically, all the nodes in your PBN could be used as separate avenues for revenue generation, and tightly interlink with each other. However, this is a problematic approach for a few reasons. First, this would be extremely time and money intensive, and your peripheral sites probably won't be as profitable as your main site. Accordingly, this bears out a low return on investment. Second, the closer your nodes' relationships are, the more likely they're going to be targeted with a Google penalty. There are a number of strategies that people have used to improve the effectiveness of their PBNs. For example, it's common for people to purchase expired or expiring domains for their PBN nodes. These tend to have a lot of existing authority, meaning the links you build with them will instantly be more powerful, without having to wait months for the new websites to mature. Are PBNs white hat or black hat? In S.E.O., everything is about quality. You want to provide high-quality, natural content to your readers, and build high-quality natural links on external publishing websites. Accordingly, your S.E.O. Spidey sense might tingle when reading a description of how PBNs work. Are these a black hat or white hat tactic? If you're building a PBN for the pure purpose of manipulating your search rankings, and your nodes are throwaway sites with no real purpose, you'll be violating Google's terms of service. In fact, it's even possible to report websites and networks engaging in this behavior. In the past, Google has taken manual action against PBNs to limit their influence and dissuade webmasters from building them. Accordingly, you can describe PBNs as a black hat tactic. That said, there's a lot of room for customization and improvement in your PBNs. You could build a small PBN of just one or two extra sites, and spend a lot of time fleshing out those sites with high-quality content, genuinely intended to be valuable to readers. In this scenario, your websites would function as independently valuable, self-sustaining entities, with the links you build merely as an added bonus. Here, your PBN could mostly be considered white hat. Because of this, PBNs exist in a kind of gray hat territory. Google explicitly encourages webmasters not to engage in PBNs, but there are ways to make them more valuable. The Pbn Google Crackdown of 2014. Of note, Google issued a massive crackdown on PBNs back in 2014, and continues to remain vigilant in handing out manual penalties for suspected offenders. The specific violation cited by these manual actions was typically thin content. Some SEO professionals reported traffic drops of up to 90% over the course of a single weekend, and were never able to recover using the same tactics as before. If you decide to use PBNs, you need to be prepared for this possibility. There are several ways to guard yourself from penalty, of course. For the most part, Google brings the penalty down on sites that clearly seem related to each other. It often detects this by noting the link relationships between domains, or by noting the public owners of each domain. Domains that tightly interlink with each other and are owned by the same person are frequently the target of penalty. You can fight back in a few important ways. Make your registration public, or use different registering entities. Don't allow your websites to fall under the same registration umbrella. Use a diversity of links. If your nodes are constantly pointing to each other, and only each other, it's going to be a red flag. Make each site independent. While you may be building nodes to feed a central important site, try not to make that relationship obvious with your content or structure. Each site should stand independently. Assess publishers. If you're using a white label link building service or a white label SEO team, you will want to apply strict guest blogging filter parameters to the sites from which you are looking to acquire backlinks. The ROI problem with PBNs. There's also a potential ROI problem with PBNs. Let's consider the time and monetary costs of establishing a PBN from scratch. For starters, each new site is going to need a new domain, which you can buy using a domain registrar like GoDaddy or a domain auction site like Namejet. If you're a good bargain hunter, you might be able to find a domain with potential for as little as $40. But if you want a domain with an existing domain authority footprint, or one with lots of potential, you could pay $500 or more. Let's be conservative and estimate $150 for the domain. You'll also have to pay for hosting, for private whois information, and for development and content. You could try to design, develop, and create content for the website entirely by yourself, but here, you're only trading time for money. Either you'll have to pay several $100s for each site in your network, or you'll have to invest several dozen hours of time. Neither of these options is pleasant. Of course, SEO can be a pricey strategy, and you'll need to be prepared to spend money to make money, but the long-term return of a PBN isn't attractive enough to warrant the initial investment in most cases. One of the major sticking points is that subsequent links on the same domain yield diminishing returns for your authority. In other words, you'll get one powerful link from each new node in your network, and after that, the benefits trail off. If a secondary website gets lots of traffic, you can use nofollow links to generate traffic for your primary domain, but even then, the amount of effort it would take to build traffic for the secondary site could be spent on your primary site instead, increasing your total return. On top of that, most PBNs rely on a sizable network of different sites, so you'll be multiplying the costs for each new development. And that's not even considering the possibility that all your hard work will be undone by a manual Google penalty. There are two main ways you can make up for the ROI problem, and possibly make the strategy worth it. Lower your development costs. Finding less expensive domains and improving your development efficiency can reduce your overall expenses. However, this is also risky, as cheaper sites tend to be lower quality, meaning more likely to attract a penalty. Make your secondary websites serve multiple functions. You can also increase your return by making your node sites serve multiple functions. For example, you could turn each node into a revenue-generating machine in its own right, or use your network to support other enterprises. PBNs versus sustainable strategies. Right now, you might be thinking of ways you can spin PBNs to your favor. If you have $5,000 to invest in PBNs, how can you spend that money in a way that gets you a positive return? If I were to make a blanket suggestion, I'd tell you to spend that $5,000 on more sustainable strategies. Instead of buying and developing content for a new domain, you can invest more heavily in high-quality content for your primary domain. Instead of worrying about whether Google is going to shut your network down, you can build long-term relationships with external publishers, where you can publish new guest posts regularly. Overall, PBNs are nowhere near as effective or as reliable as standard, sustainable SEO practices, and you'll probably end up paying less for an SEO service anyway.
Thank you for joining us on the S.E.O.co podcast. We appreciate your time. Be sure to rate, review, and subscribe to the show, and visit S.E.O.co for more resources based on today's topic, as well as access to more podcast episodes to help you improve your site's long-term SEO success.